Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Black Spinner Music Vidcast. Today we got our special guest with us, and today Al Horta is out today, so we have three other guests with us today, and what we are going to be talking about is that we are going to be ranking the last Beatle tracks off of all the Beatle album releases. We are going to be ranking the last tracks. Joining us today, let's go around the horn. We have Mark Alden Taylor for the Freeform Rock podcast here with us. He also does the BS sessions, which is a really fun show on Thursday nights. Check that out. That's available on YouTube, and Freeform Rock podcast is available every at every possible podcast form you can think of,
Except Spotify. I'm
except for
still thinking
Spotify,
about that one. Yeah.
because they're bitches, according to Mark.
Yeah, they're a bitch.
And also joining us today is Eddie Canestracci with the Eddie and the Black Spinners. How's it going, Eddie?
Yeah, it's going good. It's going good. No complaints.
Good, good. He's also the co-host to Rock All Over You podcast. Check that out. Also, he's got a really good um, YouTube page. What's the name of that page, Eddie?
It is called Edwin Canestracci. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
it's me. It's just my name.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just
Oh,
out
because I
there.
just type up your name and it pops up. So
Yeah, it's just my name. I'm not hiding under any persona or anything. It's just me. There I am. It's me talking about music and movies that I dig, and that's it. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Check it out. People like it. It's growing.
Yeah.
Every year it grows, keeps growing. So if you haven't subscribed, what the hell are you doing? Subscribe right now.
I subscribed a long
And come
time
back
ago,
to
man.
this after you subscribe.
And
Too.
and also not only that, he goes really in depth and really finds facts that are unbeknownst to us. So he does a really good job there. And joining us also today is Jimmy James Swartz. How's it going, Jimmy? You doing all right today, man?
Doing great. I'm a little sleepy, but caffeinated and ready to go.
All right. Well, great. Thanks for joining us. I know that you're joining us on short notice, so I really do appreciate that. Okay, guys. So since we're starting a little late, we're going to go straight into this. We're going to start off with your least favorite last track on a Beatle album. We are going to do all 12 plus the Yellow Submarine release. So we're going to put that in our list as well. So go ahead, Mark. What are you going to start off with, man?
I'm just gonna start off. My bottom tracks are covers. It's all their covers because the originals need to be higher than their cover tracks. And one of the best cover tracks is the highest on here. But I'm gonna start. If you know me, I love the White Album, but I always hated the song "Good Night." That has to go last for me. That's a skipper for me. I hate that song by the Beatles.
Sleep tight.
Yeah. It's horrible.
Dream, sweet dreams for me.
You're making me sleepy. Stop it. Jimmy
You're
James.
making me alcohol.
I need some more caffeine.
I'm going to drink some whiskey here. Keep going.
Then I did a really good impression of Ringo on that one.
Oh, you God, dude.
I think it's written by John, though, if I'm
Yeah,
not
written
mistaken.
by John.
Yeah, it's written by John, but sung by Ringo. So Good Night is the way that Mark is going to start. What about you, Edwin? What do you start off with, man?
Good Night. It was not my last, although I don't reckon that's going to be high on anyone's list. But my last is actually, it's a big song. It was a single, one of the big singles, and it made the LP version of the Magical Mystery Tour. But I've said this before. I did a Beatles video where I said this. Like, this is one of the few. There's only like 3 or 4 Beatles songs I straight up don't like, and this is one of them. Yeah, I don't like All You Need Is Love. I think that song sucks. Now, subjectively, objectively, obviously, I can hear it's a well-written song. It's got strong melody. It's it's a Lennon-McCartney classic melody and all that. But it's just very try-hard and hippy-dippy, and I never been a big fan of that song. All You Need Is Love. Do. It sounds like the Loving Spoonful. It's just like the Beatles. I like them when they're darker and not so hippy dippy, So I never really liked the song. So because of that, it's my least favorite. Now the EP, I just a little shout out to the EP, the original UK EP of Magical Mystery Tour, and Blue Jay Way, which I love. If we were counting that, that'd be higher, but we're not counting any.
Yeah.
Just saying, because I love Blue Jay Way. That's a cool, dark, trippy song. That's
Yeah.
that's how I like my drugged up Beatles. But I don't want them being all like happy, holding hands type. That's where acid goes bad, in my opinion. so screw all you need is love. Don't like it. Don't need it. Don't need love.
I thought acid went bad with and without you, but
Hey, I like that better. Not as much as my co-host because he has his reasons.
He's weird. He likes Tai Shan. Yeah.
Yeah, but I do like it's long. Like that song is like literally twice as long as it needs to be, but it's not bad. But All You Need Is Love is definitely my least favorite song from the psychedelic era. So there you go. Bottom. Like the covers better.
A really fun fact about that track that on Sirius XM when they started the Beatles channel, that was the first song they played to introduce the channel. Was All You Need Is Love.
You know what's
just to see what song was they were going to start off with.
You know what's weird? You guys know I hate hippies, but I like that song. So that's weird.
Yeah, you should. That's like the ultimate hippie anthem.
I know it's weird.
Like that Coca-Cola song.
It was done for some type of TV show, so some kind of world benefit is what that song was for.
Yeah, they should have kept it there.
All right.
Not a fan.
Jimmy, what are you going to start off with, man?
All right. So my lowest ranking track in no way reflects my affection for this particular album. And Beatles did a lot of great covers. This is not one of them. And it's Everybody's Trying to Be My Baby.
Ooh.
Just not a big rockabilly fan. And I think George takes a lot of crap he doesn't deserve to take. And I think songs like this may be part of the reason why.
Why they pick on him?
Yeah,
I actually thought not so much about the song, but I'm surprised. I would have kind of pegged you, Jimmy James, as a guy who likes some rockabilly. So
it's really weird because
you like Southern rock and you like rootsier stuff.
Oh, I love country. I love that. You love
Waylon Jennings and stuff. So I'm a little surprised.
Love Waylon.
Waylon Jennings rules.
Yeah, so I'm surprised you don't like some rockabilly.
There's something in the delivery of it. It's a little too clean for me. Whereas Waylon, you get some of the 70s outlaw stuff. It's a little bit grittier.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know if that makes sense, but
are you cool with
probably
you like what about like stuff like Elvis and Scotty Moore, like the Sun Session stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's not so clean. That's a little dirty sounding. The Sun.
Right.
The sun
Oddly enough, I don't mind that so much.
Carl Perkins.
He is a little cleaner actually than if we're talking like Sun Sessions. Once he got to RCA, they cleaned him up, but those early recordings are very raw sounding actually.
Oh, absolutely. And I have no problem with like the Cash stuff from that era. That's kind of that too, but it was something new and it was the original.
But sounds like you're not a big Carl Perkins guy, maybe.
Yeah, I could take him or leave him. I respect what he
Elvis did it better.
I do think Elvis's Blue Suede Shoes is better than
way better.
I mean, I give Carl Perkins credit for writing the song, but Elvis definitely made the song a lot sexier and flashier, in my opinion.
Absolutely. I was more of a Luther Perkins guy than a Carl Perkins guy.
Hey, but Jimmy, you know why George gets a lot of shit? That fucking sitar shit he puts on all.
Yeah, it's more for the Indian shit because the
Indian shit is what ruined George. But George does have a lot of great songs, the Beatles. But it's a sitar shit because that's what irritates me more about the Beatles. Is
I have heard that from a lot of people. I myself like it. I don't mind the Indian shit here and there.
And
it depends.
But I know, but I have heard from a lot of people that's the thing. Like they're not Western, audience.
That song on Rubber Soul I hate too. God damn.
Yeah.
You mean Revolver?
Huh? Rubbers? Huh?
Rubber Soul. There.
I mean the other one.
I was gonna say what Norwegian Wood.
You don't mean
not that one. No. There's another one on there.
You mean Love You Too from Revolver?
Love You Too. Oh God, I hate that.
That song's great. I love that.
I hate that song.
I for one love it when they introduced the sitar.
Yeah, I think it's cool. It was something
that they were pushing the envelope and they were introducing new sounds and instruments into pop
Yeah,
They had some songs with sitar on there that was good, but the really bad ones have the sitar on it also.
Yeah, but sometimes just blaze up. Maybe you're not like stoned enough, Mark. Yeah, I'm surprised. You're a stoner. You should
maybe
listen
you just don't get the sitar.
Maybe it's the Beatles do have some good sitar songs, but the worst songs by the Beatles for me are the ones with the sitar on it.
Also. I got it. Okay, yeah. Mark is saying that he's xenophobic and racist. That's all right. That's your choice.
What is this, the rock and metal combat podcast already? No. Damn.
I'm gonna step up your balls.
Getting my balls busted already.
I'm going to agree with Mark on this one. I'm going to start off with Good Night as my number 12. I'm going to lead off with that. The bottom of the barrel is going to be Good Night. It's just a boring track. And I love the White Album. The White Album is such a fun, adventurous album. It's so adventurous. My favorite double album of all time. But maybe even Good Night even adds a little bit to that. But it's going to start off as my least favorite track. All right, Mark, what's your next one, man?
From the album Help. Now we're getting into the cover songs because this is a good song, but I want to put the originals, except for Good Night, higher in the order. So Dizzy Miss Lizzy on Help. Yeah. That is my number, 11, I guess?
Yeah. Yeah, but it's such a good rocker, though, man.
It is, but it's not an original Beatles song.
Exactly. And I'm not going to put a original below that. You're right.
Except for Good Night. Except for Good Night.
Yeah. We've already established that. You're right.
Yeah.
All right, Edwin, which way are you going to go on this one, man?
All right. Okay. I like Andy, like a lot. Actually, it's even maybe more than anyone here. I don't know, but the White Album is my favorite Beatles album. I love the White Album. Oh, yeah. I don't hate Good Night in the context of the White Album. Like if you listen to it like as a surreal Muzak kind of song at the end of Revolution 9, like when you listen to the album as an experience, it works.
Yeah.
But this is individual. We're talking about individual tracks. Like I never want to listen to Good Night by itself. In the same way, I don't want to listen to like Revolution 9 by itself. Like to me, in terms of songs, the White Album really ends with Cry Baby Cry. But as an album experience, it goes on a little bit longer with Revolution 9 and Good Night. But they're like only in the context of the album do I want to hear those two songs. And so, Good Night, not bad. It's a nice little ditty that John Lennon wrote. And I think it was a good choice to make Ringo sing it because he kind of offsets the sentimentality a bit. But still, I never want to listen to Good Night by myself. It's it's like a children's song. So fuck it. Right. Moving on.
They always wrote a song for Ringo because America loved Ringo.
I think that helps the song. I think if any of the other three Beatles sang it, it would be worse than maybe All You Need Is Love. But I gave it an edge. Ringo gives it an edge. Ringo helped it push it.
It's with and without you for me.
Ringo has a nice croon. He has a nice croon that kind of makes the song. It just he brings a little bit of charm to it that I think the others won't have.
He brings charm to almost everything that he sings, Ringo. But you're so right about Good Night. You're not going to have friends over there and say, "Oh, dude, you got to check out this track," and move the needle all the way to Good Night and drop it on there.
Unless you guys are dropping acid and drinking some really good alcohol, you don't want to play that song.
Well, even then,
it'd probably give you a bad trip.
You're like drifting off to sleep nicely after like Revolution 9's the bad trip. And then Good Night's like, it's okay. You go sleep, go to sleep, little hippies, go to sleep. Like that's it's a drug. I get it. It's just fine. All right, I'm not always on drugs.
So that was actually the original working title was Good Night, Little Hippies.
Good Night, Little Hippies. Sleep off the bad acid in parentheses.
Fuck hippies. Okay.
Obviously, Manson did not follow their advice.
Right.
Maybe you should have. Maybe you should have listened to that instead of Helter Skelter.
That's probably why Dennis Wilson killed himself on a boat.
He didn't know there was a second disc. That was the problem. No, Helter Skelter is the second disc. He didn't know there was the final. He didn't flip over the record. As soon as he got to no, actually, I changed my opinion. He did. He listened to Revolution 9, and then he was like, let's go kill some people. And he didn't stay around for the last track. If they stuck around for Good Night,
hey,
would have saved lives.
Didn't he say that
Saved.
album put him on a trip though?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. They
Yeah.
went out. I was like, enough of this shit. Let's go kill some pigs.
Yeah.
And if they just like waited just a couple more minutes, like Ringo would have chilled him out.
But the guy never killed anybody. He had everybody do his dirty work for him.
Oh yeah, he had it. Yes, people do.
He just sat there and watched.
Yeah. Yeah, he might not even wanted them to really do it. He might have just been talking some bullshit, and then they took him seriously.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, I better own it, or else I'll look like a weak guru.
I remember as a kid finding my
where
sisters.
I'd be if I go soft on here.
Yeah.
All right, Jimmy, what's your next one?
I'm going to make it a clean sweep and go with Good Night. Yeah, it's kind of like Ed when you were reading my mail. It's I like the song a lot, and I think like you said, within the context of the record, it's perfect, and it really is. No one else in the band could have sung that. It's really Ringo, Edwin. It's like almost verbatim what I was going to say about this song.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
No. It's good. It's good.
I didn't know.
It's funny, but there is a certain charm that he delivered, and I know John wrote it for Julian. It was kind of his beautiful boy, equivalent that he wrote for Sean, that he wrote for Julian. So very sentimental, and I think it's a great send off for the record. So,
like, you want to hear a hot take? I was listening to Abbey Road the other day, as I do sometimes, because it's fucking Abbey Road, and Maxwell Silver Hammer came on, and I was listening to that, and I was thinking, this is, and in my opinion, I was listening to that. It's like Paul should have gave that to Ringo. I think Ringo would have sang that song better. I think he would have brought out more. I think Paul is a little too cloying on it, a little too cutesy, whereas Ringo would have hit that like he brings to these songs, like a certain charm, like Yellow Submarine. Like
because he has that weirdness. That's a weird song. All the weird songs should go to Ringo.
Yeah, I feel like Ringo, like they could have gave him 2. Come on, they gave George 2 on that one. Yeah, right. I think Ringo would have made that song a little bit better. I think he would have delivered the bang bang.
I never thought of that, Eddie. That is a great take on that.
Now that I hear it, I can't get that out of my head. This superior version.
We should tweet freaking Ringo and say, "Hey, do that in your show, dude."
Yeah, I feel like that was a song that was meant for Ringo, and Paul just didn't realize it.
Yeah, I could absolutely hear that. Yeah. That's a great point.
You probably said, "You've already got one, Ringo. Why do you need 2?"
But you got your octopus song.
That is a total Ringo song, though. You're right.
Yeah, it totally is more Ringo than Paul. Yeah,
exactly. Dude, that was a great take, man.
Good.
Thank you.
I love Octopus's Garden.
I did until they had a Little Nemo parade at Disney's California Adventure, and they had Little Nemo going down, and they played Octopus's Garden every freaking day. And I can't handle the song anymore. It's like for like a year. I heard that song every day, 3 times a day. So I got tired of it.
My next one, it's going to be a cover. And I hate to put it on here that I'm this low, but because I really do like it. But Money, That's What I Want off of their second album with the Beatles is where I'm going to put Money, That's What I Want. All right, Mark, where's your next one, man?
From the Beatles for sale, Everybody's Trying to Be My Baby. So that's my next one, man. It's a cover song, man. It's like, I got to put them low. It's not a bad song. I like the song, but originals go higher.
Yeah, that's true. All right, Eddie, what's going to be your next take?
Okay, we are now, spoiler alert, we are now getting finally to the cover section of Edwin's least favorite Beatles tracks. I'm actually with Mark on my least favorite, even though it's really good. It's good. I like Dizzy Miss Lizzy, and it's rocking. But I know listening to all the different covers, to me, it was the one that was most like, it's essentially just Twist and Shout again, kind of, but not as good in my opinion. So, and it works on Help. I get like they need kind of a rocking song at the end because that album didn't really have a song like that. So, in the context of the album, I like, Dizzy Miss Lizzy. It's a good rocker. John sings it great, but it's not quite as iconic and powerful as Twist and Shout, in my opinion, which I think they really made their own. And this is essentially Twist and Shout Part 2, whereas all the other covers, I think, do something a little different. So that's why, even though I do think it's a great cover and John sounds great on it, it is my least favorite of the covers. So there you go, Dizzy Miss Lizzy.
And he does do that same kind of vocal, the rough and tough rocker.
Yeah.
On Dizzy Miss Lizzy. That's true. All right, Jimmy, what's your next one, man?
I'm right there with you. Dizzy Miss Lizzy. It's kind of it's a little bit of a callback to Bad Boy. If you're going with the American albums, Beatles 6. But yeah, I mean, it is. I love the way John sings it. I love Ringo's playing on it because he's just. I mean, he's beating the drums like they owe him rent. So it's just great rocker. The lead breaks are, figure for the time, that's pretty aggressive guitar playing as well. And but overall, the overall quality of the song, I don't think it's as strong as the rest of the songs we'll be looking at. But a great song nonetheless.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering if we'll all have the same number one. I'm just thinking.
I don't know. I guess we'll see.
I looked at my list. It's possible.
It's possible.
Yeah, it's a pretty awesome song.
I'm going to agree. I got Dizzy Missy Lizzy as my next one as well. As the next one. Y'all have already talked about it. So go for it, Mark. What's your next one?
Money, That's What I Want with the Beatles. It's a great song. I love the way they do it, but it's a cover. So it's got to go lower on the list. So Money, That's What I Want.
Because they really did turn that song around and kind of make it their own as well.
They did, but it's a cover. I'm going to put all the originals higher because they are one of the greatest songwriting teams of all time, and they got to be higher with their originals.
Agree. It's like with the Stones, like with the early Stones records. As great as those covers are, like Lennon McCartney, Richards, Jagger, Richards, like they were such great songwriters that you were like, oh shit, their originals are better than the covers, And so by the time they get to their third or fourth album, very similar. It's like, yes, just stop doing the covers already. Just give us more of this really great shit that you guys are writing, and both bands did catch on to that, so that's good.
Hey, can I say something real quick?
Yeah.
Adam NC, you know who it is because I didn't do Freeform Rock Show tonight on that metal station, and he's always in my chat room.
Oh,
it's me, dude. Because I gotta come on Andy's podcast, man, because he comes on mine all the time. So I canceled the show tonight to come on here.
I didn't know that he followed you on your show because he's on.
Oh, he's in my chat room every week. He gives me like 10 requests.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Because he's also on here on Wednesday nights watching our show. So thank you so much for all the support you give all of us. Adam.
Well, I told him
we're all together
that I was on here tonight, that there was no show tonight in a text. So he knows I'm here.
Yeah, he's been here the past couple of weeks. So awesome.
He's a great dude.
Yeah, he sounds like it. All right, Edwin, which way are you going to go on your next one after Dizzy Missy Lizzy?
I think this is a subjective list, not objective. Objectively, this is probably the best cover. It's definitely the most iconic. But there are two. One apparently that everyone disagrees with me on, but this is. Even though I do think it's better than Dizzy Miss Lizzy, it's kind of the same thing, but it is the last song from their very first album. It is Twist and Shout. Iconic. It's great. I mean, God, John sounds amazing. The yeahs. They made the song their own. The original is great. Beatles version was even better, in my opinion. And yeah, it's great. I mean, it's like Twist and Shout. It's fucking awesome. Like I remember fucking Ferris Bueller like dancing around to it and shit. It's like iconic. It's awesome. But it's just like I like all the other songs better for reasons which I will discuss when we get to the other songs. But yeah, Twist and Shout, it's awesome. It's awesome. It's like the Beatles were a great band or something.
Yeah, right.
Even though this is towards the bottom of my list, I do think it's awesome.
Yeah, I think the Beatles do the better version of all of them that are out there. I think the Beatles do it.
The
Yeah,
Beatles took
every
covers and made it their own, man.
Yeah, every cover that's on this list, I do think the Beatles is better.
Oh wow! And I want to welcome Tom into the Black Spinner Circle. Thanks for joining us, and thanks for stumbling on us into our podcast. We really do thank you for that. All right, Jimmy, what's your next one, man?
Well, I'm going to keep up the cover trend, and I'll go with Money on this, and it's really close between this and the next one. I love the overall feel of the song. Again, John has a kind of a sinister delivery of it, which John does so well, and you really start to see that come out with that track and that album. But again, kind of echoing what everybody says. There's some really good music coming up, so this is just kind of where it falls.
Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff coming up, and I'm gonna go with my next one. Everybody's trying to be my baby. I got a little bit higher than you guys because I really think George really does a really good guitar solo on this track, and it's a really good burner of a guitar solo on here, and he's trying to emulate one of his heroes, Carl Perkins. So yeah, everybody's trying to be my baby. I remember the first time I got that on cassette was when I was in junior high, and I absolutely loved that song. I didn't know it was the cover yet, I was just getting into the Beatles. I said, dude, I love this song, and I still do, even if it turned out to be a cover. I think they did fantastic. So everybody's trying to be my baby.
You mentioned his lead on there. George is, I think, such an underrated lead player. He doesn't get the credit that he's due. Some of that stuff he does is totally really difficult to do.
Well, him and Ringo are both very underrated.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Ringo invented his own time signatures, though.
Yeah. But I never hear when people talk about George Harrison. They do sometimes talk about the songs, and they sometimes talk about the spiritualism, or like he's the quiet one, it's like about his personality or how he dressed, the dashikis and shit. But you don't hear a lot of people talk about him as a guitarist, which is odd since he is the lead guitarist of the Beatles, and he's doing all these great rockabilly licks. He was really good at. He's doing like Scotty Moore shit, like really effectively and stronger than like any of the other competing British invasion bands. Actually,
definitely,
absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And the thing about George,
he's better than any Rolling Stone guitar player.
I say, I actually agree with that statement, and I love all the Rolling Stones guitar players, but I don't think they could so perfectly emulate the sound of those like 50s rockabilly.
Nope,
it's quite like with the precision that he does, and still with feeling and soul, and those like slide leads that he would get into later, and
his guitar and slide and everything else that he introduced while he was in the Beatles. It's amazing of how he changed the guitar over and over and over.
Yeah, and even I think part of the problem was because like While My Guitar Gently Weeps and like some of the solos on All Things Must Pass, Eric Clapton did. Mm-hmm. So as a result, I think that made people that overshadowed him a little bit, and people thought, oh well, he can't be that great. Eric Clapton stepping in and like doing the solos for him, but that was only on a few tracks. That wasn't like everything. Like, he was doing a lot of great leads.
Well, and John started stepping in and doing some.
Yeah, that's it. John does the slide on All You Blue. For you Blue. What's his name of the blue song on Let It Be?
Yeah, For You Blue.
Yeah. John's actually doing the slide. So so because of that, and famously Paul did like Taxman. Yeah. So I think
which is a brilliant solo.
In a way, because George didn't have much of an ego, and he let these other people kind of step in and do his guitar solos. I think that over the years has kind of hurt his reputation as a lead guitarist. But when he played, he was fucking on it. He was great.
Amazing.
Yeah.
His solo stuff was really good too.
Yeah, especially the first two albums. Like you listen to a lot of the stuff. I was actually just listening to the second one, Living in the Material World. He's got a lot of really beautiful solos on that album.
He does
acoustic and
I like his Cloud 9 album, by the way. Really good shit.
Yeah, underrated George.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's not my favorite Beatle, but
No, he's actually my least favorite, but I still
he
think
is. He is.
he's
Yeah,
the
me
least
too.
favorite and like the best band in the world. You know,
Right.
Yeah.
so
Right. But
great.
let's not forget about his 12-string work as well there in the middle years.
Yeah.
And not just that, the I forgot what I was gonna say. I'll think about it later. All right, so where are we at? I said mine right. It's your go, Mark. Kick off the next round.
All right. Well, I had let's see. I love this song. We just did a review on this, which will come out 5 weeks later on Freeform Rock Podcast. We did Please Please Me. And this is a great song. It reminds me of Ferris Bueller, reminds you of great times. Twist and Shout. What a great cover. That's why it's the highest of the covers on this list.
All right. All right, Edwin.
Okay, I'm now going to mirror. See, it works both ways sometimes, Jimmy James. Now you beat me to some things. I'll go money. That's what I want, in parentheses. The reason for what Jimmy James said, he liked that the John's was a little darker on this song. And that's to me why I give this an edge on, because it's kind of similar to Twist and Shout and Dizzy Miss Lizzy, that it's like it's the hard rocker at the end. Like they during this period, they like to have a hard rocker at the end, and John would be singing his balls off, and he sounded great. But this one, like actually most of with the Beatles, which is one of my favorite Beatles albums, it just has a little bit of a darker edge to it. So something a little meaner and darker sound, both in John's delivery and in the actual music, like the riff and the rhythm. Like it just it's kind of like proto metal in a lot of ways, especially for that time period. Like what's like 64, you know, this is like heavy shit, you know, and this is the best version of the song. And I've heard a lot of versions. I heard Jerry Lee Lewis does a great live version of this, but this is my favorite version of the song. The Beatles just fucking rock it. Yeah. And it's awesome. But yeah, but generally with the exception of one song, which, you know, one cover, everything else, you know, I got to give it to the originals, but it's great. I mean, if, you know, I don't know, maybe we are a little prejudiced towards covers sometimes. It makes you think. I'm being a little existential here, but I'm just saying, like, if you had told me this was a Lennon McCartney original, it might be higher in the list. So I don't know if that's fair entirely. I did the same thing like you guys. Like I ranked it lower because of that. But I mean, it's really amazing song. So it's like, and this is like the definitive performance. So it probably should be higher, but whatever. I put it where it is.
Nice.
I feel bad about it. Should be higher. I'm an asshole.
Well,
Jimmy,
I'm with you.
Go for it.
So I'm going to wrap up the cover trend here and go with Twist and Shout. And the reason I rank this the highest of the covers is purely sentimental. And first Beatles record I ever bought was the Live at the Hollywood Bowl, the original one. And I remember dropping the needle on it the first time and hearing that live version of Twist and Shout. And I was a little kid at the time, and it just, I don't know, there's just something special about the first Beatles track on the first Beatle record that you ever own that's just kind of always going to be near and dear to your heart. And that's really the only reason I ranked it so high. It's a great track, great song, purely sentimental.
I went a little bit different from y'all because I got some originals and the cover is still left. I've got a cover coming in later on because I am going to dig into their originals here. My next one is going to be The Way That Rubber Soul Ends, Run for Your Life. We talked about this when we did the ranking of the Rubber Soul album, which was a lot of fun. Jimmy was there for that one. So Run for Your Life is my next one as the lowest. No Good Night song there. So Run for Your Life for Rubber Soul. It's a great track. It's dark. It's got those Dateline lyrics. But yeah, that's where I put that one. All right, Mark, go for it.
All right. Well, I originally had the CD version with no score on it. I had All You Need Is Love, which Edwin hates. But I'm going to go to, well, that was the first original. But my first original that we didn't do, Yellow Submarine, that was just an honorable mention there. I'm going to go with Let It Be and Get Back. I love that song.
I think Andy wants us to do Yellow Submarine now. So.
Yeah.
Does that
Put
change
that
your
wherever
order?
you want. Yeah.
I just gave it an honorable mention. So there it is.
All right, easy. You got to be difficult, Mark.
No, I don't
It's
know.
not
You
your
guys are,
show. It's
you guys are
Andy's
just
show. He makes the
you guys are
rules.
just confusing as the Beatles.
Not that confusing. It's an extra song.
Well, I'm going Get Back from Let It Be. I love
All
that
right.
song. I love Billy Preston.
Do you allow that, Andy?
Great song.
Yes, that's fine.
Okay, Andy allows it. All right.
Because every time I'm on the BS sessions, I break the rules too.
All right, that's all right then. All
You
right.
sure do. You sure do.
It wouldn't
we-
be rock and roll if a few
Do
rules
we
weren't
care
broken.
that you break the rules? No, we don't.
Breaking the rules.
It's rock and roll, baby.
All right. Okay, I guess it's my turn. Yeah, I was thinking the Ozzy
By
Osbourne.
Ozzy.
Yeah, it's a good song. All right, I'm going with the last track on A Hard Day's Night. I'll Be Back. Great song. Probably, I would say, a mid-tier song on that album. It's a very strong album, really catchy. I think kind of the first real run of Lennon McCartney genius. I don't think there's any covers on that. I think that's their first album without covers.
It's all original.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So great album. Great. I almost considered kind of like proto power pop. Like you could tell Cheap Trick really loved that album. But I'll Be Back. It's still a great song. I like it. It's a good last track. It has that moody feeling. It feels like John's answer. And during this period, there were a lot of songs where Paul would write a song in a kind of style, or John would, and they would do a song kind of similar to like Michelle and Girl. Like they're, you know what I mean? Like they have an answer kind of songs to each other. Yeah. And I'll Be Back sounds like John kind of doing his version of Things We Said Today. Definitely not as strong as that track. That's my favorite song from Hard Day's Night, one of my favorite Beatles songs, Things We Said Today. But it does have that, especially in the verses, it does have that vibe. It has that kind of moody vibe, which I like. So it's a nice moody closing track. So it's pretty great. I'll Be Back.
Yeah, and I don't think Ringo sings a track on that.
No.
Nope.
Nope.
And I don't think Harrison writes on there either. I think they're all Lennon McCartney.
Harrison, I don't think. Well, no, he did. He wrote. He wrote "Don't Bother Me" on the prior album. But yeah, John especially. Hard Day's Night's almost like a solo John album.
Yeah,
like Paul does have a couple key songs, but John definitely. I kind of consider like his two great big waves of songwriting are "Hard Day's Night" and the White Album. Like when you listen to it, like track by track, like those two albums in particular, John's like really in a creative rush. He's having like this, he's really inspired, you can tell.
And also I noticed that the majority of these last tracks are John songs. If you really look at them and look at the vocals, a lot of them are John's.
Yeah, it makes sense because John, I think you like a last track to have a little more like grit or a little more darkness sometimes. And
also him wanting to get the last word in, just like John.
And he was in the early days anyway, before Paul started to kind of compete with him. In the early days, John was the leader. He was the leader during the early days. So that's probably that as well.
Johnny and the Moondogs.
Yeah, it was his band. I would say it wasn't until like maybe Rubber Soul and Revolver where they start to kind of be equal leaders. Yeah,
where they kind of stopped writing together and started to write single.
Well, John was a little. I think he was like a year older than Paul, and he formed the band. So it kind of makes sense that John would kind of have the head start a bit as a songwriter and leader.
Yeah,
that's true. All right, Jimmy, you're getting into your other Beatle track. So what's it for you, man?
I'm going to echo yours, Andy, and I'm going to go with "Run for Your Life." Again, pretty much every song, with the exception of "Everybody's Trying to Be My Baby," I love on this list. It's you can really hear a step up in production on Rubber Soul from Help, at least to my ears. I love the guitar line that runs through the song, the little lead line that George does, and again, brilliant. This one's kind of funny because for a long time, every time I would put this record on, of all the songs on the record that my son would get caught in his head and start singing, it was "Run for Your Life," which it's kind of hard to explain to his mom why he's running around singing, "Yeah, I'd rather see a dead little girl than to be with another man. You know, it's
It
kind
makes
of
sense though. That a kid would think that because the word "little girl's" there, and it's like they're
Yeah.
playing a dark game where these.
Yeah.
I gotta see that.
Yeah, of all the songs you could get, stuck in your head,
Right.
that's the one that I've got to explain. But um, again, John, biting, dark, classic Lennon, love it.
Yeah, my next one, I'm going to be along there with Mark Alden Taylor. I'm going to go with Get Back off of the Let It Be album. It's a good song, but it's always been one of my least favorites by them. I don't know why. It's just one that's just okay to me because there's so many songs that are so much better. And I know that on Let It Be they were trying to hold back the reins on um on the sound and going on a straight rock album and straight rock songs. But it's kind of hard to go back to that after you've done and experimented with so much more and accomplished so much more with that experimentation. So I put Get Back there for that one. All right, Mark, what's your next one, bro?
I'll go with I'll Be Back. I like it a little bit better than Get Back. I think it's a cool song. It's an original. And I think it's really cool.
Yeah.
All right, now I'm getting out of the way. Okay, obviously, I greatly disagree with Jimmy James here, but I am admittedly more of a rockabilly fan. So yeah, it's actually my favorite cover is "Everybody's Trying to Be My Baby."
Ooh.
Is my favorite cover on those, and a lot of it is. Although you did mention the George Harrison solo, a lot of it is. I really like how George sings it. I like how he plays it. I think it's kind of a cool, unpretentious way to wrap up Beatles for Sale, which some of you might know. We did a Rock Overview podcast about it. It's one of my favorite Beatles albums. Actually, I'm a really big fan of Beatles for Sale, and yeah, I think it's like not one of the strong. It's not one of the best songs on the album if you're counting the covers. I mean, if you're not counting the covers, if you're counting the originals, but it's definitely one of my favorite covers. And yeah, I just really loved it. I just think George really knocked it out. I think it's a really strong cover on his part, and really it's better than the original, and it's great. So I love it. There you go.
Yeah, George does make it special. It gives it that little bit more oomph that the song needed. All right, Jimmy, what's your next one, man?
All right, next one I am going to go with "It's All Too Much," if that's still in the running for.
Yeah, it is.
Mark messed it all up.
As long as it doesn't mess everybody up.
Always
You
my
want me to
fault.
do two with it?
I'll take it.
It's a great song. It really feels like it could have fit on Revolver, and it's got that sound, it's got that vibe. Those tracks on Yellow Submarine. There's some great Beatles music there.
Oh God, yeah.
And just to go back to what I was just saying, their experimentation and the recording studio and them putting everything together and them just playing whatever they wanted and fitting everything together. It's amazing, especially during that period that these songs were done right there in that, the Magical Mystery Tour, Sergeant Pepper, Revolver, and the Yellow Submarine, which I keep on forgetting that album or that EP because it's not mentioned with the others on a regular basis, and it really should be because it's a real crowning achievement. It really is.
Yeah, and if you look at that time period of music, that was what, 66. So they're what, 3 years removed from doing songs like "Love Me Do" and "Please Please Me," which I love.
Yeah,
but you have to admit that they completely changed everything musically in popular culture in a matter of 2 years, 3 years.
Yeah.
The way people recorded stuff, I mean, everything. It's just, it's unprecedented. I don't know any band that has ever done anything, any artist that has changed the landscape of music quite that drastically in such a short amount of time.
Yeah,
No,
exactly.
10 years?
Well,
If
7 years of recording from 63 to 70, and not just the music, the fashion, how the clothes to wear, just everything all together. They changed everything.
Yeah.
They really did, and everybody followed in their footsteps.
Yeah.
Everybody did.
Black Sabbath.
What a brilliant time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There'd be no Black Sabbath without the Beatles.
Would be no Black
Right.
Sabbath
And the way
without the
that
Beatles.
Hendrix,
Yeah.
Well,
and
yeah.
and the way that Jimi Hendrix loved them, and the way that Jimi Hendrix dressed, and it all came from the Beatles. And
Didn't he do Sergeant Pepper's right after they released it?
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
man.
He
It's like a matter of days.
right away. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's with Paul in the audience.
Yeah.
I think both Paul and John were like in the audience of this little club. Okay, so
Amazing.
it's my turn. This is where I end my covers. Twist and Shout. To me, Twist and Shout is one of their best performances on tape, and that's before they got really technical in the studio, and they just came out raw and just rocked. So I'll put Twist and Shout on there. It's already been spoke about, and the influence it's got in pop culture, and still does today, which is unbelievable. All right, go for it, Mark. What's your next one, man?
Well, talk about acid. These lyrics make no fucking sense, but they're fucking cool and it's well put together. And the interpretation is fucking amazing. And a walrus from Magical Mystery Tour.
Whoa, wait, we fucked up, Mark.
I did. Isn't that
There's
the last
no
one?
version of Mystery Tour, not even the EP. The EP's Blue Jay Way. And
I looked at it.
LP, it's All You Need Is Love. It ends the first side.
Well, I put I am the walrus because that's what I had on Wikipedia.
It's a great song, no doubt about it. It's just not in the last song. So you fail.
The last song is
No, wait. I'm gonna check.
Mark,
How about we put this in It's All Too Much, because that's actually the last track.
Okay, whatever.
Are you going to like some weird Japanese bootleg?
No, I went to Wikipedia.
Yeah, you're going to the dark web. You're downloading some weird porn, getting these weird bootlegs. I know what you're up to, Mark.
I'm gonna look at it right
but the
now.
thing is that he did already mention all.
Trust me. I think we got 3 people telling you right now that you're wrong.
I believe you, but I'm gonna look and see if Wikipedia fucked me up.
I've been there since I've known that since the age of 10, Mark. Believe
I
me.
can't tell you if there's not some like some Dutch version that has a weird running order, some Canadian version, but the general one that we all listen to, "I'm the Walrus," does not end at. It was a B-side to "Hello Goodbye."
Yeah. It was.
Maybe you're confused. Maybe you're thinking that.
And Oasis did a great cover of it, but
Oasis? Fuck Oasis.
Cuckoo Cuckoo.
they who shall not be named.
Cuckoo Cuckoo.
All You Need Is Love ends the Mystery Tour.
Yeah.
Did you just say that song? Just say All You Need Is Love.
Okay, all you need is. I already said that song is a.
Yeah. He did that for the Yellow Submarine.
Say it for this one. Just say
Right,
it.
so it's all too much.
Yeah.
Just so we can keep a placement here. What Wikipedia are you looking at, Mark? Why is it taking
I'm looking at it right now. Hold on, just keep going.
All right, Edwin, go for it. What's
you using AOL? Why does it take you so long?
Because I'm kind of buzzed right now, so it's kind of hard for me to spell. That's right.
Speaking of the Yellow Submarine soundtrack, It's All Too Much. I'm saying it here. Great track. Probably my 3rd favorite track from that album. Of course, it's not really an album. It's kind of an EP worth of new songs. Well, and even the new songs weren't really new songs. They were leftovers. This was actually leftover from the Sgt. Pepper's sessions. But yeah, Sgt. Pepper or Mystery Tour or Revolver kind of could have fit on any of those psychedelic periods. George Harrison song, but it definitely sounds like George Harrison with a lot of group participation.
Yeah, you guys are right. I did fuck up.
Yeah, we know. Sorry, I'm the Mark is a great song.
Right, we knew.
So I don't know what happened. I'm at work doing this shit on my lunch and break, so I fucked up. My bad. I'm human. I'm human. I admit when I fuck up.
You gotta make a living. It's hard to do all this at once. You do so much. You give so much to the podcasting community, Mark. We'll let it slide.
Yeah.
And besides, Mark, you do correct me a lot too. So
Yeah.
I fucked up. I admit when I fuck up. I admit it. There you go.
Okay, Always Sunny. What they always say in Always Sunny. Move past it. Yeah. Okay.
okay.
It's all too much. Great song. Great George track. I think my favorite thing about it is I love Ringo's drums on it. You know, Ringo's like even on a psychedelic hippie jam like this, he's like fucking it up.
So bashing it.
It rent. It's awesome. It sounds really cool. It's a cool track. Journey did a cover, not as good as the original, but it was passable. But during the Greg Raleigh period when he was singing,
Greg Raleigh rules.
Yeah, I think it's the second one. I forget which one. Is it the second one or the third one?
I think it's the second one, but I could
the second one.
I get those confused.
Yeah, it's the second one with Greg Raleigh. Yeah, and
Jerry Subway, we need a correction on this one. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's the second one. Anyway,
Jerry knows.
But they did a passable version, but they kind of streamlined it and took away all the fucked up psychedelic shit. So not as cool. And they didn't have Ringo playing. So anyway, but It's All Too Much is pretty cool. Not bad for a half-ass soundtrack album for a fucking druggy cartoon. Not bad.
Right. I don't like it at all. I get very
it freaked me out when I was a little kid. I didn't like those blue meanies. Yeah. And I did like the Beatles themselves because they had like mustaches. Like
I like that movie because they like put holes in there.
I liked it as a teenager. It's a different thing. When I was a little kid, it scared the shit out of me.
Oh, when I was a little kid, I loved it.
As a teenager, I liked that freaky drug.
I loved it as a little kid, man. I watched it. They showed it once a year, like during some kind of holiday, and I watched it every year.
You're stronger man to me as a little kid. No,
well, might be the age difference. Might be the age difference.
I was like watching fucking Michael Myers and Jaws and shit as a little kid. That was not as scary as those fucking drugged out.
I was watching Cheech and Chong at 7.
They wouldn't. Cheech and Chong didn't bother me either. There was just something freaky about.
I was watching Death Ship with George Kennedy in the movies.
I didn't like the records. I looked at my mom's like Beatles records. I looked at like Sgt. Pepper and like Mystery Tour. I was like, oh my God, this is scary shit. I did not like it. But then when I was like 13, 14, and I came back, I was like, ooh, where was that weird, creepy shit?
I was into the Beatles Sgt. Peppers at like 7.
No, they scared me. I didn't like.
They didn't scare me at all.
Like the Mummers Day Parade, I did not like.
Oh, they didn't scare me. Them and Foreigner Double Vision was my jam in 77.
That's a good song, but no, yeah.
That's a great album.
Yep. All right, Jimmy.
Nice.
What's your next one, man?
All right, so I'm checking out the Fredonian Wikipedia page for Magical Mystery Tour, and I'm going to go with Strawberry Fields Forever.
Whoa,
wait, no.
Whoa. What the fuck? What the fuck
is going on? I'm just messing with you, Mark. I'm just messing with you.
I already said I fucked up. I already said I fucked up.
Mark, it's crunked, and I'm drunk. So go easy on us.
I'm drunk and crunk.
Yes. The Fredonian Wikipedia should have been a dead giveaway.
You're drunk and stoned.
Oh, okay. I am fucked up. So I didn't understand.
You can't be crunk and drunk. It's implied in just saying you're crunked.
I didn't know. I learn something new every day. Well, let's not interrupt Jimmy here.
All you need is love. It's it's a classic. It's a lot of horns. A lot of horns.
Okay. You know what? You're a horn.
I don't know if you know this. I don't like that song.
I know. We know this, Edwin.
We know it all down, Edwin. You got right here on the very top of the beginning.
Yeah,
Hated it.
It's the
hated it. 2 snaps and a plot, whatever that is.
Yeah, I tell you, if you want to know, I've said this before. The worst Beatles song is "She's Leaving Home." That shit.
Oh, I love that song.
I want to leave home when I hear it. I don't like that song.
That's it with and without you again. No. She's Leaving Home is pretty cool.
That's a therapy fucking musical shit. That's like the bad version of Eleanor Rigby. Like
I love that
version. And then it's like, hey, how can we do Eleanor Rigby but make it really maudlin suck? And then he did that. And
You know what? You need to be on Freeform on the review of Sgt. Pepper's. I
I'll
need
do
to
it.
hear that.
I'll come on. It's my least favorite Beatles album. So
I want to hear. Oh, I know that Rock All Over Your podcast. You said
yeah,
that.
so yeah. Bring me on. I will be the opposition.
Well, Shane might not like it either, or Jerry.
Counterpoint.
Yeah.
Yeah, that She's Leaving Home is one of my favorite songs. I absolutely
Sorry,
love
Andy.
that song.
Sorry.
Andy, big hug, brother. I love that song.
I love the storytelling.
Me too.
It brings me to tears almost every time. I absolutely love that song. I think it's the glue that
She's
holds Sgt. Pepper
leaving
together.
home.
Oh,
Bye bye.
I
I
would
love that fucking song.
I like it.
All right, my next pick, I'm going to go with "It's All Too Much," as well is where I'm going to put it here. I put an arrow, and this is where I insert it. So it's all too much. Mark, you're.
Well, I hope I have the last song on this album because I did fuck up on one last song. God damn! I hope I'm not right. You know, this is a hippy dippy song off Revolver, but I like it. Tomorrow Never Knows. Was I right?
So you're the first person to say Tomorrow Never Knows. No, you're wrong to put it so low, but I guess you're right that it's the last track.
Well, it's a great fucking song. You know, there's better songs than Tomorrow Never Knows by the Beatles.
Not many, my friend. We'll get into this. We'll get into that
later.
All right.
That's a great song, though. I'm not talking shit about it at all.
Okay, it's all right. Now, a couple of you have already mentioned this one. Get Back, the last song from Let It Be. I always kind of forget this is the last song on Let It Be. I always feel like it's a long and winding road, but then it's not. Then Get Back comes on. I'm like, it's Get Back. It is actually one thing, though, you guys didn't mention. It's actually not the single version. It's a live version. It's the version that they did on top of the rooftop. I do like the single version a little bit better, but either way, both versions would probably be at this place on my list. It's a really good track. I like it. I mean, I don't mind them returning back to roots. I dig rock and roll, and by this point, they were doing it in a deeper, fuller way. It's a great track. To me, at this point, McCartney was almost a little like you can kind of hear a little bit of his Wings 70s sound. It's like proto Wings.
Love Wings.
Yeah, and I love Wings, so I don't mind that. It's a great track. Great track. It's just that there's 4 tracks I think are even greater. But it's a cool way to end the album. Every time I listen to Let It Be, I always go, "Oh, hey, I forgot this song's the last song, but hey, cool. It's a good rocker. Let's end it this way because I don't like the long and winding road." That's all right. It's better than She's Living Home, but I don't like.
I love the long and
I
winding
like the
road.
stripped down version of that better. I don't like all the strings that they have on that version.
I like the naked one better.
Yeah, that's generally I do like the Phil Spector version better. That's the one song where I do like the naked version better. I like the naked version better on Long and Winding Road.
Hey, Edwin, Ash wants to know you'd rather listen to Bungalow Bill than She's Leaving Home?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Bungalow Bill is a great song.
Yeah, it's a cool song.
That's awesome.
It's not like one of the best songs on the way down, but
no, it's a good song.
Hold it together. I mean,
I like the humor. I like the humor. I like the dark humor, and I even hearing Ringo and Yoko singing in the chorus together is kind of fun.
That is a freaking dark song, though.
It
sounds so poppy. It's like a pop dark song. It's like.
And I love how it goes into While My Guitar Gently Weeps.
It's perfect on that album.
It is.
Yeah,
it's perfect.
I don't mind Yoko. You keep Yoko a little in the background. Not bad.
Fuck Yoko. Hey, John did, but I won it.
All right, Jimmy, go for it.
All right, I'm gonna preface this by saying one of my favorite sounds of all time is a Fender Rhodes electric piano, and it's even better when it's played by Billy Preston. So I'm going with Get Back as well. Love John's lead work on that. His guitar sounds phenomenal. The tone he gets is amazing. And it's not the deepest Beatles song in the well, but it's a good rock and roll tune. And again, anything that's got Billy Preston is automatically better for having Billy Preston on it.
Yeah, it's Billy Preston was such a great breath of fresh air when he walked in, and and he just walked in out of the blue. It's crazy, and they just inserted him into a Beatle into the group.
Watch that Beatles documentary on Disney Plus.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, they did that. He was going to help the Beatles like stay together and work it out. So he did a good job there. Oh, wait a minute.
Well, they didn't work. They had a song called "We Could Work It Out." Didn't work out, did it?
Billy Preston, whatever. It was cool for Billy Preston. I'm sure for years to come. He's like, I played with Beatles guys. I helped him out.
All right.
Love his playing.
Yeah, he's a great player.
So my next one, I'm gonna go with off of A Hard Day's Night. I'll Be Back. Love that song. That's always been one of my favorites on that album. And you're right. Really, John really does take a handle. Really takes the bull by the horns on that album. He sings a lot of the great tracks, a lot of the great singles, but also a lot of those deep tracks are so good with John's writing. It can be dark and heavy. So I'll Be Back as my next one on there. All right, Mark, what are you going with now, man? After Tomorrow Never Knows.
I know this might be sacrilege. It's so low on my list. It's a great fucking The End, Abbey Road.
I don't think it's that low by this point.
Really?
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Oh, you are fucked up.
No, but I'm saying it could have been pretty. It could have been higher than my next
top
song.
5.
It's really good. Abbey Road, The End. I love that fucking song.
Yeah, man, it's a rocker. That's
Right.
for sure.
Well, apparently I'm sacrilegious along with my crunk brother, Mark Allen Taylor, because The End. There you go. This is it. If we were this was a weird one. This was tough to judge on its own. And because really it's part of the End medley. And I mean, there's like a medley within the medley. So I kind of think of this as part of the end of, Golden Slumbers and Carry That Weight. If we were counting those 3 songs together, if we were counting Carry That Weight and Golden Slumbers, I would give it, it would be my 3rd favorite here. It would it would leapfrog over the next one. But cutting it in half and just having kind of just the end, it's a little weird. But at the same time, it had to be like in the top 5 just because I love the End Abbey Road medley so much. And, that's one of my favorite things to do is get drunk with scotch and listen to the Abbey Road medley. So, I mean, I just love it's the only time you hear all 3 Beatles do a guitar solo. They all do a guitar solo. Ringo gets a drum solo. And, it's really cool. It's like you never want to listen to it not connected to the song that's really the ending of. But still, just out of respect, I had to put it at number 4, although it's kind of like Good Night in the sense that it's something like I'm not going to listen to out of context.
Right.
No, you got to listen to all 3 of those songs together.
Yeah.
Golden Slumbers medley.
Yeah, you got to at least start from there. I mean, really, the medley begins with, You Never Give Me Your Money. But there is a little bit of a break. There's a little bit of a break between She Came In Through the Bathroom Window and Golden Slumbers. So Golden Slumbers is definitely the beginning of this song that we're talking about. Yeah. But whatever, technically, they called it the end. So there you go. It's the end.
Hey, Mark, Ash wants to know why Her Majesty isn't the last song. Go for it.
Because Her Majesty wasn't listed on the album. It was a secret track. So we went by songs that were listed on the album. It's like and it was like a short and sweet ditty. It wasn't a real song.
Yeah, I'd consider it more of a coda.
Yeah. So in the original album, Ash, Her Majesty was a hidden track that was not listed.
It wasn't listed.
That's why we don't have it on here.
Yeah. Because I told Andy at the beginning, Her Majesty is not a real track.
You see, I didn't know that because I had Her Majesty ending it until Mark told me.
In later copies, they did start listing it, but when it was originally released, they didn't list it. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Right. All right.
So to carry on, I'm going to go with The End as well, and it's tough. Abbey Road is my favorite record of all time, and side 2 is my favorite side of any record ever made. Yeah. So to not have it number 1 is tough. Yeah, but that portion, it really is. It's just like a jam. It's a great jam, and it's awesome to hear Ringo get some shine, and they play their asses off, and it's
Everybody
um,
does.
yeah,
Yeah.
it would be great to have had a little bit more of that in some you know random extra disc somewhere, just to get those four guys jamming. But yeah, it's that's the only reason it's not higher is because it's not so much of a structured song, with the exception of the ending portion where, you know, and in the end, the love you make, is equal to the love you take.
You got the box
So
set? Damn.
Yeah, this 3LP 50th anniversary has the end in different takes.
does it have more?
I got the CD of that. I don't got the LPs. So.
Does it have more jamming on it? Do you hear like more guitar solos and shit?
You do, yeah, and also it's got it's also called the long one on another session where they just start playing, you know, all aside two in different, a little bit longer, a little bit slower, a little bit faster. Just they're jamming to it. And they're feeling themselves. I mean, they're feeling their way through the songs. It's really it's really impressive. So if you're able to stream that or something
Okay.
like that, it's really something to listen to. There's a lot
Thanks,
of great
Andy.
outtakes on there.
Thank you. Yeah, I'll check that out.
Yeah. Do you have Apple Music?
Yeah.
Jimmy? Okay, well, so do I. I can share it with you.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. I always love to share things with people who have Apple. I share whatever I've been listening
I have
to.
Amazon.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, that
And
goes.
I find something interesting that I think that you would like. I'll send it to you if you don't mind.
Awesome. The same. If that's cool with you, I'll send
Oh
stuff
yeah,
your
of
way too.
course. Oh yeah.
Awesome.
Oh yeah. I love to do that. I do that with Jerry Soupy all the time as well because he's got Apple.
Some
And
guy
Okay.
wants us to show us our feet. What the fuck?
Quentin Tarantino?
he wants to see the little piggies. Okay.
Is that Lee? Is Lee on?
No,
That ain't Lee. He wants to see the piggies. I guess there's a piggy song on
the White Album. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's on last track, Mark. I know you get confused with that stuff. But
my
Iggy's
Yeah,
definitely not a last track.
one album.
my next track, I'm gonna go with "All You Need Is Love" as my next one, and I think I almost had it higher than all of y'all.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, I did. Okay. Yeah, because I write everybody's pick, so mine was higher on that. I've always loved that song, and I love the end, where how it ends with "She loves you, yeah, yeah, yeah." I just love the way they bring that back from the olden days, and they end it with something that they're known for. When so many bands try to get away from what they were in the past, but they embrace it. That's what I love about that song. It's the end, yesterday, and then the horns come in, and then I think it's Paul doing "She Loves You," yeah, yeah, yeah. I just love it. I think it's awesome.
They had a television special with that song on there. It was
Yeah.
pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah, because it was for some kind of performance,
Yeah.
for some kind of charity.
Yeah.
And the Stones are on stage with them singing back up. Well, not all the Stones. I think it's just Mick and Brian. Am I right about that, Edwin?
I think you're right. I think it's just them.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. That's my favorite part of the song too, because that's when it's fading out.
Close to the end.
It's close to the end. All right, Mark, what's your next one, man?
I always loved this song, and I always got shit from my former co-host, which he's like Voldemort. I'm not going to name his name, but "Run for Your Life." I love that fucking song. I've always loved that song. It's a dark pop song. Just listen to the lyrics. It's poppy as fuck. It's like it sounds happy, but the lyrics aren't so happy. It's about beating your woman. God damn. It's like, damn, it's like, you better run for your life if you can, little girl. Hide your head in the sand, little girl. Catch you with another man, that's the end. But it's poppy as fuck. It's like happy, but the lyrics ain't. I fucking love the contrast in this song. So that's my number 2, man.
Wouldn't it be cool if they used the
Good
music
choice.
for? Wouldn't it be cool if they used the music for "I Want You"? She's so heavy with those words.
Yeah.
Too much for people. Too much. Okay, next 3. Mark, he's gonna have to throw a bonus track at the end. But anyway, so we're number 3 for everyone else. That it's now this is one like I would actually I just want to say again, if the end was part of Golden Slumbers and Carry That Weight, I would have put that above this one. But still, this is still very strong number 3. I know I sometimes give this album some shit, although I still think it's a great album, even though it's my least favorite. But there's no question that it ends very strong. It's the best track on it. Well, probably my second favorite track on it, actually. But objectively, it's the best song on it, which is "A Day in the Life" and "Sgt. Pepper." It's objectively a masterpiece. It's like one of the greatest songs ever written, and the production and I like the Paul stuff in the middle. It's really cool. But it's definitely the John stuff that's the most emotional, and it's an amazing, staggering piece of art. I mean, part of me kind of wish there was like a version where they didn't do all like the string build up and stuff, which is a little like heavy handed, which is where I think Abbey Road improved upon Sgt. Pepper. Whereas I think they weren't as showy. It wasn't as show off ish with the production and the strings and stuff. Whereas I think just like even just like a year or two later, they would have kind of produced this a little different during those parts. But still, even with all that nonsense, it's still like an amazing song. It's like one of the greatest songs, and it's just pure Lennon, McCartney genius. George Martin throwing in his shit there, and it's a masterpiece. It's one of the greatest. And it's like also a perfect like ending song. It's like the big conclusion, and then you got that cool little. You do have a coda here too. You got the "Well, fuck you" like Superman little loops sound effect at the end. So just a little shout out to that. But yeah, "Day in the Life," my number 3, great song.
But also the way that it ends before that with the very
piano
strong
chord.
piano chord, dun, and it echoes until it goes away. But there's a version on Anthology 2 where they do without the orchestra part, and it's just a countdown.
Yeah.
It's just a countdown with like the drum beat, right? Is that correct? It's just a drum beat, and they do the countdown to Paul's part without the orchestration.
Yeah.
So you might want to check that out if you haven't heard that one yet. All right, Jimmy, go for it, man.
All right, so I definitely have this ranked highest. I'm going with "I'll Be Back." I love how they play with the traditional structure of a pop song. I don't know if you could really consider it a pop song, but there's no chorus in the song. It's verse, bridge, and they kind of do half of a verse, and
it fades out.
And it also, the verses are in a minor key and the bridges jump to a major key, so you get this really cool dichotomy of a really dark verse where it brightens up within that bridge, and it's just, again, it shows you the experimentation they were getting into musically, and just how brilliant those guys are. And I think it's a phenomenal track. I love the acoustic sound on it, everything. So yeah, it's my number 3.
Nice.
And that's so awesome that you mentioned that, Jimmy, because you can hear the change.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's so blatantly out there, because sometimes you don't really hear changes that well. You just notice like when it's already done. But this is at that moment you hear it, and it's really cool. It's such an important part of that song.
Absolutely.
I'm going to echo Eddie on this one. I'm going to go with "A Day in the Life" as my third to the top. I love that song. I love Sgt. Pepper. I think Sgt. Pepper is a fantastic album. But the more I hear the Beatles, the more I put other albums above it. but A Day in the Life, it's just a great track, and the experimentation they do to it, and the experimentation that the Beatles did, it was never too big for them. They were always on top of the work that they did. It never got out of hand where they were not in control of what they're doing. Because sometimes you hear that when a lot of bands do too much and it kind of gets out of control. The Beatles always had a lid on everything they did. But A Day in the Life is my third to last track. All right, Mark, go for it.
I don't understand. I picked 13 tracks. I had Good Night, I had Dizzy Miss Lizzie, as Everybody's Trying to Be My Baby, Hard Day's Night. Well, I changed that to I'll Be Back up later. And then Money, That's What I Want, Twist and Shout, Get Back. I had a Walrus, which I fucked up on. Tomorrow Never Knows, The End, and Run for Your Life. So I got 13 songs. How did I get mixed up?
You should have one more song.
I have 13. There should only be 12.
Yeah, but because we added Yellow Submarine. But what's your next song?
What's your next?
My last song is A Day in Life. I think the greatest song of all time. My number one track of all time by the Beatles. So I said all 13 of my tracks, but I'm behind somehow. I don't understand this.
It's all right. It's all right.
That's all right, Mark. We'll figure it out.
You work hard. You do like 100 podcasts a week, and you're smoking a lot of drugs. It's understandable.
No, but I knew that was going to be your number one because you
13. I said all 13 of my tracks. Weird.
Okay, well maybe we'll make up a new category for you when you do your number one, like your number one.
Well, my number one is A Day in the Life. It'll always be my number one. I think it's like the greatest song of all time. To me,
it has to be a number one past that number one.
God damn it!
Yeah. So
what did I miss? Tell me what I missed.
Think about what. Maybe you'll just say what your favorite song of all time is after this. So you got to something to talk about.
Well, that is A Day.
You don't want that air. You don't want that air, Mark, on Andy's podcast.
Well, you can just skip me, and you guys could go too. I'll just pick a Rush song, so you guys can tell me.
I was going to say, do your favorite final Rush track.
Yeah,
your favorite. Yeah,
your favorite. I gotta think about that shit.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll think of something else, Mark. I'll think of something else.
But I said all 13 of my tracks. I don't know how I got behind. That's all. I had one more track.
You're still going to share with us. All right, Edwin. What's your second to last track?
All right. Some of you mentioned this. I guess everyone has. I think at this point. Run for Your Life. Bigger fan of Jimmy James. It makes sense because I like the rockabilly a little bit more, and this is kind of a rockabilly track. But as people have brought up, it's a perfect. I would say like if the next track, which we didn't get to yet, is kind of the perfect experimental ending of an album, and The Day in the Life is like the perfect like cinematic epic ending for the album. This is like the perfect unpretentious, like here's just a song way to end an album. And it's like a perfect last song for Rubber Soul, because even though it's just like kind of another song, it's because the lyrics are a little darker. It just kind of adds a little dark period to Rubber Soul. Because for the most part, Rubber Soul here and there, it's kind of an upbeat album. But here you
Didn't
just got
John Lennon hate that song later?
John Lennon didn't like it. You know who liked it though? George. George said it was one of his favorite John songs.
That is one of the best songs by them.
So yeah, I love it. Great guitar work. George is doing some good licks, which is probably one of the reasons he liked it. Plus, George himself, wrote some dark songs about women too. But yeah, Run for Your Life. The hook, Catch You If Another Man, You'll Be Dead. Actually comes from an Elvis Presley song from the Sun Sessions. Let's Play House.
Right.
So if you listen to that, you'll actually hear that chorus is actually John. He bit it. He bit that shit from Elvis, but it's great. He did a good job and made, even as much as I love that original Elvis song, this is even better. And he made it his own, and it's great. It's one of John Lennon's best songs, I think. It's one of my favorite Beatles songs. I'm a very big fan of this song. To me, it's a perfect little dark rockabilly jam with great lyrics, and I love it. Run for Your Life, easy number 2 for me.
And it really does end a dark album, Rubber Soul. You think about it.
Yeah.
It kind of in some ways makes more sense like it'd be on Beatles for Sale, because that's a little more rockabilly and a little darker, but somehow it's at the end of Rubber Soul. But I don't mind. I love Beatles for Sale, so I don't mind them doing another little dark rockabilly song at the end of Rubber
That-
Soul.
yeah.
Cool.
Nice.
All right. Well, what is your next one, Jimmy?
All right. So here's where we bring in Mr. Timothy Leary and his experiments, and going with Tomorrow Never Knows from Revolver. And again, it feels weird putting this at number 2, but just the experimentation, and again, I don't think we would have had some of the stuff Hendrix did if it weren't for this.
Yeah.
I mean, these guys are
They're
changing music and making just incredible art. It's so dark. It's so psychedelic in the best way possible. And it feels weird putting it in number 2, but it's my number 2.
Yep.
There you go.
Yeah, my number 2 is going to be The End. I love that song. I love the lyrics to that song. I remember when I was in junior high, I would write those lyrics on all my folders in school, on my book covers. It's just the love you make is equal to the love you take. I might have said that backwards, but such a beautiful thing to say. And the way that starts, because I don't think Ringo really wanted to do that part, because he never wanted to be a show off, but they shine the light on him, and this dude just drums and drums and drums, and then the guitar parts, the trading off between. I think it's just John and George going back and forth. And am I right about that, or is Paul in there too?
No, Paul's in there.
Yeah.
It's all each one.
All 3 are in there.
You can tell. I think I don't know for sure. I'm pretty sure I know who's who. Actually, I think Paul's the last one because that's the one that's kind of jagged and most rocking. That sounds like kind of a Paul thing to do, and it also feels like he would, he has an ego in him. He'd want to be the last one in there. So I assumed he's the last one. I forget. I think George is the higher pitch one. He's got to be the higher pitch one because he played higher generally. So that would that would leave John would be the other one. But,
yeah. John would be the last one left. Yeah. But I just think the trading on there just shows the brotherhood and the musicianship that these guys played on, and knowing that this was going to be the end, knowing that this was going to be the last track.
Yeah, how many bands do that? Like where like the mythology's there in real time. Like it's like that whole second side of Abbey Road is them dealing with, you never give me your money, and then with the Golden Slumbers, medley, like they're talking about how the Beatles are ending, and even I always thought like Abbey Road to cover that's like the final battle. Like that's
because
the idea.
Okay, they said let's do one more.
Yep.
Let's strip everything back. Let's get George Martin back in here. Let's do it the way we love, and that's how we got Abbey Road, and that's why sometimes it's my favorite album of all time. Just like Jimmy was saying, sometimes it changes, but it'll always be a special album for me. So yeah, but number 2 is The End. Where do y'all start y'all's medley? Do y'all start it on Because, or You Never Give Me Your Money?
I mean,
Never give you money.
Technically, it is You Never Give Me Your Money. That is the beginning. Right. And even there's a callback to that later and Carry That Weight and the Golden Slumbers.
They bring that a medley back.
So that's really the beginning technically. But I do kind of think of Because as kind of setting the mood. Like
it feels like an introduction to.
Yeah, it feels kind of like an introduction. Yeah. I remember Showbiz Pizza Place. I don't know if you guys know that place. Right? Yeah. They have like Muppets playing. They did the Abbey Road medley, and they did actually begin with Because themselves.
Okay.
So and they did Her Majesty at the end too. Yeah. So that's where they did it. So I'm going by Showbiz. Technically, that's not how the Beatles did it, but I'm going by Showbiz Pizza.
Showbiz Pizza in Pointy Hills. I remember
I'm saying it begins with Because. Yeah.
I remember that shit.
correct answer.
Because I had a 500 book page club where you write a book report on 500 pages.
Yeah.
I only read the beginning and the end. I wrote a book report and got to go to Showbiz Pizza for my elementary
Cool
school.
place. Pizza was shitty, but when you're 5, you don't know the difference.
Oh, dude, I was like 9 or something, but I wrote a book report, just read the back and the front.
Good stuff. They did some good songs. They did the first time I heard "Light My Fire" was
Oh yeah,
yeah. Was
remember that?
Pizza
we
place.
got a tour
Like,
of how they
they had
made the
road
pizza and
network.
everything, dude. We got a tour of all that whole
Yeah,
place.
they had
back.
arcade games. Good time. I feel so
Yeah.
sorry for the kids nowadays, man. The
Dave and
80s,
Buster's is pretty good though.
fucking 80s kids were fucking.
It's no showbiz.
Oh, man.
No, it isn't showbiz.
Why?
Chuck E. Cheese looks like a what is that, heroin rat now? He's like really skinny. He looks like he's on heroin. Like
it's a bad
You know,
impression.
Post Malone. It's like, yeah, but Chuck E. Cheese was some ghetto shit. It was crap. It was crap compared to Showbiz.
Oh,
Showbiz was the bomb, no.
Of course, Chuck E. Cheese, went on to be like the bigger one because people.
Well, Chuck E. Cheese had that shadow box, so you go in and go, and it would.
I
put
mean,
a shadow
I
on
was
it.
snobbish when I was a kid. I'd walk around Chuck E. Cheese because this is trash compared to Showbiz.
Showbiz was
Rat up
amazing.
there,
Man.
Puppet Rat, and they sing lame songs. They're not doing cool like '60s rock songs.
No,
like,
they weren't.
Yeah, Showbiz blew it away.
All right, Mark, this is going to be. We are our last pick. I'm going to let you talk about any song you want to talk about. So go for it.
I'll take "Countdown" by Rush off Signals. That's a great. Final I did say 13 Beatles songs. I don't know how I got like off.
That's
on
right.
you guys.
So you went with Countdown. All right.
From Signals by Rush. Great fucking indie track off Signals. My bad.
It's no longer a baker's dozen. It's now a Mark Alvin Taylor's dozen, which is
It
14.
always adds a Rush song. It makes sense.
Hey, I had a Rush to everything.
Yeah.
Or Tom Petty. One of the two.
Hey, Lewis, I agree with you. Great song, great George guitar solo, by the way. Okay,
appreciate it.
my turn. If
What is
you,
your number one closing
Yeah,
song?
I don't know if you guys should have figured this out by now if you don't
Yeah.
know. But yes, it is "Tomorrow Never Knows" is my favorite last track for a Beatles album. I mean, it's the ultimate last track for a lot of reasons. I am a big fan of Revolver, unlike Sgt. Pepper. To me, that's the album where they really revolutionized everything.
Oh yeah.
And it really just stands up. It's still just a great album. And that whole album, like just all the diversity and all the different things they do on that album. And then to like, by the time you get to the end of the album, you're like, well, what else can they do? What else could they show me that they haven't already done? And then boom, Tomorrow Never Knows fucking blows you away. I mean, it blew me away as a preteen. So I can only imagine what your average, young person or anyone listening to that in 1966 must have been like, and it's so ahead of time. That's actually a drum loop. They actually sampled. It's like the beginning of hip hop in a way. It's Ringo's drums, but it's a loop. It's a loop of Ringo's drums and the bass. It's a loop. And the sound effects, John's all fucking great and acid drenched. So this was like the I Am the Wars before I Am the Wars. And it's just the thing that I love about Revolver too, is it's just like all the songs are still like, even Tomorrow Never Knows, even though it's like this psychedelic, head song, it's still short. It's still following kind of the old school Beatles model of writing like really short songs. So it's still kind of structured in a weird way, like a little pop song, like the whole album is.
Yeah.
But it's just this little perfect psychedelic song. And like a lot of tracks on the White Album, that's my favorite Beatles album, and Revolver is a close second. And one thing that the White Album and Revolver both have in common, they both are very diverse albums with a lot of different styles, but most of the songs are really short too. So it's just it's like track after track. It's like the Beastie Boys albums from like the early 90s. I always think they're a lot like that. And yeah, Tomorrow Never Knows is fucking awesome. Just the way it comes in with the sitar sound effect and the drums hit. It's so modern sounding.
See, that's one of the good sitar songs.
Yeah, well, it adds a lot to it, and the sound effects. It's awesome. It's one. Of the
love that song.
I even love the title, which was a Ringo-ism. It was something because Ringo, he was like dyslexic or something. I don't know. He said things wrong a lot, like Hard Day's Night and Tomorrow Never Knows. And John thought it was funny. Ringo's stupid. He says things wrong. Let's make it a song title.
Yeah.
Ringo be secretly crying as he played the drums. John's making fun of me.
It's like on one of those cutaways on the Family Guy, and Ringo's all, "Hey, everybody, I wrote the song," and Paul takes it. "Oh, look, everybody, Ringo, we're gonna put it here on the refrigerator."
They actually did that. This little side story. Don't Pass Me By.
Yeah,
Ringo wrote that like back in 60, like 3 or 4. They actually mention it. There's a Beatles, like during the Beatlemania period, like Beatles for Sale or Hard Day's Night. There's an interview that they did, and John talks about how Ringo is an emerging songwriter. Oh, well, Ringo's writing songs now too, and they actually start singing "Don't Pass Me By." They go, "Don't pass me by," and they're kind of making fun of him. Like, oh, he wrote this silly song. And it's a catchy song. It's a good tune. So for whatever reason, though, even though he wrote this catchy song back in like 64, you're like, yeah, Ringo, that's one of your shitty songs. They don't do anything with it until finally when they decide they want to do a double album. Say, hey, we're doing a double album. Hey, Ringo, you want to do that shitty song of yours? and they actually called it Ringo's Song. Like if in the White Album sessions, it was called Ringo's Song. So Ringo. It was a great song. A hit, I think, in the Netherlands. Don't Pass Me By.
It's perfect. Absolutely perfect.
I love that song. But the Beatles were it was like that Family Guy skit. They were making fun of Ringo.
Oh, we'll put it right here on the refrigerator.
It was that was like 68, so they sat on it for 4 years. Until finally John and Paul needed a double album. Say, okay, it's a double album. John wrote a song for you. Paul doesn't feel like writing a song for you, so you got anything? He said, "Oh, how about that song? I've been trying to get on the album for 4 fucking years, 4 bloody years." That's right, the Beatles. And there's like, fine, should we do it? Should we finally let him use his song? And then they do. So it's great. It's a great track. So fuck off, John and Paul. Respect
you want to do that song about that girl that lost her hair?
It's great. Paul's Dead Clue's even in it. Ringo even worked in a Paul's Dead Clue. Good on you, Ringo.
All right, Jimmy. What's your number one? I already know what it is, but please introduce it.
It is A Day in the Life. I'm with Mark on this. It's my favorite song of all time, and it's so cinematic. I think the storytelling is brilliant because it's not necessarily one constant story that goes through, but it's a day in a life. It's all the things that happen within a day. I think John's line about he blew his mind out in the car. He hadn't noticed that the light had changed. It's brilliant. Like what a brilliant lyric. And the musically, the cacophony of strings that builds up into Paul's section of the song, it highlights that upbeat, positive sound. It goes from that sort of melancholy minor into this whole bit of chaos, and then drops off into woke up, rolled out of bed. That whole thing. It really, it's kind of the
kind of a progressive song.
Yeah,
it really is.
Progressive
really
rock.
Is.
Definitely foreshadows Pink Floyd and Queen.
Yeah,
and all that stuff in the 70s.
Yeah.
So
Moody Blues.
Moody Blues.
Yeah.
The Who. Yeah, a lot of that stuff. Yeah. Foreshadows a lot of it.
Yeah. And the storytelling on there is great too, because the first 2 verses, they talk about really heavy stuff going on in someone's life, and then Paul's part is just about everyday life. Woke up, got a bed, grabbed a comb.
Time signatures, man. Time signatures. Ringo with the drums on that.
Oh yeah, I didn't mention that. Ringo's drums are amazing during the verses. In the beginning,
are amazing on there.
They add so much like drama to it. It's like emotional. It's emotional drumming. How many drummers add emotion to a song?
Not many. There's only a few.
Yeah,
Bottom, Peart, and Ringo.
Yeah.
I put Portnoy up there a little bit too.
It's so cool because it's a cinematic song. I mean, it's just an amazing track.
Yeah.
And it's really cool because Jimmy and Mark matched on their number ones, and me and Edwin matched on our number ones because I'm going with Tomorrow Never Knows.
Right on.
Tomorrow Never Knows. It's just a fantastic track. You never heard anything like this put on tape at that time in 1966, and it's the most popular band in the world that's doing this, and they're not shying away from breaking barriers in anything. I mean, they are so brave in everything that they put out, and it's an amazing thing because you would think that even today, the most popular person out there would not be brave enough to do whatever they want.
Yeah, Taylor Swift would never do that.
She never do it. Tomorrow Never Knows. So.
She'd never do it.
She is doing a black metal album, which is going to be pretty cool.
Is that for real?
Really?
No.
Okay. That's great. Lana Del Rey might, but not Taylor Swift.
Lana Del Rey might.
Yeah.
Taylor Swift, no, she's more of a death metal gal.
But Tomorrow Never
metal.
Knows, and it's so true what Edwin said, because when you're listening to Revolver, you're like, man, what else are they going to come up with? How are they going to end this album? Well, they end it with a song that blows everything else away.
Yeah, it's like creates new music. Like they create totally new music at the end.
Yeah,
yeah,
it's great.
Right on, Andy. Yeah, you and I are on the same page with that.
Hey there, Michael Lynch. It's nice that you joined us.
Hey, Michael.
Hey, so let me like elaborate on my number one really quick, since I messed up on somehow. But A Day in a Life, I just remember as a kid, I had my friends, we had bikes, we had a coal sack, and when that orchestra came in, we went in circles like we were going in a fucking time warp. And when it ended, we came out, we said what year we were in. It was like a little game. I had my little cassette, like single cassette recorder. I played on my bike, and we go in circles on that, and then we come up, woke up, it'll be different. And then at the end, we come out and we back in our same time.
It's like a time.
We like went in a time warp to that song. So that's why it's like the greatest song I've ever heard in my life. I played with that song as a kid. It's just so amazing because the orchestrations made it feel like it was like before I even seen Back to the Future. There was no Back to the Future at that time. I was always intrigued with time and space. And we use that as like we went in a time thing and we came out in a certain time. And then we came back at the end to our time. Right. So that song is just so fucking amazing to me.
Mark, do you think that you're fascinated with time travel because you might be a time traveler? Have you ever considered
that? No.
But maybe you've been doing it for so long that you forgot what your original time is.
I have no idea, but it was just we use that. I have my the tape recorder where it had one speaker and you held it with it had a thing. I played on my bike, and me and my friends Victor and Lorenzo would just drive in circles, and like we came out in a certain time. We called the time it, and then when it ended, we come out back to where we were. Before there was Back to the Future, so it didn't give us that idea. That song gave us a song of time travel for some reason. I don't know why.
You're like Captain Kirk in that Generations movie. Like he fell into he tripped into a wormhole, and then he's like chilling in some place for like a while.
I don't know, man. I have no idea why that song made us think of time travel. I did watch the movie Time Machine before that. The original Time Machine.
You like that?
Maybe that gave me the idea with that song.
Do you like the shitty Iron Maiden song Time Machine?
Yes, I do.
Of course you do.
and just to answer your question, Rose, yes, these are all records behind me. Yes, they are. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining me. And all you new people that were on comments and on the Black Spinner Circle channel on YouTube, thank you so much. We do a new show every Wednesday night, so please join us here again next week. And also, we are on Be Cool or Be Podcast Out. Anything else you guys want to add before we go, Mark?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm just saying, check out the BS sessions tomorrow. We are doing our top 11 Westerns with Metal Mike Tyler, Bill Roseberry, and Joseph Staub. He picked it, which, of course, Jerry Supe. And also, Freeform Rock Podcast. We have a review coming out on Friday on Alter Bridge, Pawns and Kings.
Nice.
And what about you, Edwin? You got anything new coming out?
I am planning. Actually, I am going to plan a Beatles video. I know people. It didn't do as well as I hoped the original video I did, but the hardcore fans really liked that Paul's Dead video I did, and I have been promised it was a part 1. I never did the part 2, but I am planning to do that in the next couple of weeks, like that. I'm hoping that's the next one. So it's either the Paul's Dead part 2, where I am further proving that the Beatles actually were behind it. Not that Paul actually died, but the Beatles were playing a game and, kind of a druggy, fun game with it. And the first one was more or less proving the clues, which is there, especially from the Magical Mystery Tour special, which has the most explicit clues. And the second video actually talks about the influence, the Lewis Carroll influence, the LSD influence, and also explains why I theorize why the Beatles would want to cover it up. It involves Charles Manson, so that's a little hint. But that's the next video I'm going to put together. It will be done kind of my essay style. I kind of have some that are essay style videos, and like my last Halloween 2 video I did about the movie Halloween 2, and but then sometimes just me getting drunk talking about Black Sabbath records. So so I do, that's my video, Edwin. My YouTube channel. Edwin Canistracci. I'm also going to do a Miles Davis episode at some point too, which is nice.
Because I'm starting to get into Miles Davis, so that'll give me a lot of new information. And I'm also
that'll be helpful. It's going to be like a guide, like a beginner's guide too. So
awesome.
Because I need to get that out too to help you out, Andy.
Yeah, thank you. And also, Edwin, one of his latest ones is a Black Sabbath rankorama of all their albums. It's very fascinating, especially coming from someone that just loves Black Sabbath so much. He really does a good job in that. So check that out as well. What's going on there, Jimmy?
Well, before I plug, my bald chubby guy talks about Nordic Viking metal of the 1870s podcast. That's not real.
That sounded very real.
I was about to say, I thought I was the only one that let's say.
I just want to say Man of War sucks, but go ahead.
Yeah, well, they were so not 1870s Nordic Viking metal at all. But Andy, I wanted to put a bug in your ear, and if I'm out, if I'm out of line, please, tell me to take a long walk on a short pier, and we'll still be friends.
What's up?
But I have an idea for a Beatles related episode at some point. 1973, all 4 members of the Beatles put out solo albums. And it might be interesting to put a compilation together of what it would be if the Beatles got back together in 1973 and made an album. So you had George's Living in the Material World, the Ringo album, Mind Games, and Band on the Run.
How many songs did you put on that?
What the standard album had, 14 songs, 14 songs?
Yeah, what we'll do is that
that's a good idea, Jimmy.
That's a great idea. I would love to be on that, Andy.
I've done that before in the past, not specifically 73, but I've done like early 70s. Like, what if the Beatles didn't break up and put the solo? I've done that. It's kind of like people do with the Kiss solo album sometimes. Like, I put that shit together.
Well, there's only one good Kiss solo album. That's Ace.
It's definitely bad. I think the Paul Stanley one's good, but it's not as good. Yeah. It's definitely not as good as the Ace one. Definitely
no.
But
Ace is easily the best.
That's a great idea, Jimmy, and I will take that to heart. And we'll probably do that in a couple of weeks then.
Yeah, I'm just throwing that out there.
Well, let me know. I'll quit that metalstation.com for a day every time to be on this show. You know that.
He's already done it. He's a time traveler.
Yeah,
He's come back to the future, and he's like, "That was a good episode. Yeah, let's do it."
Hey, it got you like 50,000 downloads on that episode. I already saw it.
You see, that's why his list was off, because he had already done this in the beginning. He said, "Hey, I'm already done, guys."
Art is broken. The best chronic. It makes you a time traveler.
Yeah, but they're really good albums too, and I had done that years ago. I did like 1971. I gathered all their favorite. I would do like 4 and 4 and 2 and 1. The way that the Beatles albums were done. So, and we could talk about how you want to put how many Paul songs and how many John songs, and we can really do a really good thing with that. So, we can title that Beatles 73. What if?
Yeah, that sounds great.
any Beatles, and you still need to do the Rush live albums.
No, it's been like 2 years.
Come on, we need to finish that episode.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much, guys, for giving your time and talents, and thanks for hanging out here at the Black Circle with me. I really do appreciate spending time with you guys every time we do a show together. And we want to say hi to Al. We missed you, buddy. We will see you next week.
Hey, Al.
So, I will see y'all later. Thanks a lot, guys. I really do appreciate it. And everybody watching, thank you so much.
All right.
Thanks,
Night,
guys.
everyone. Later,
Thank
guys.
you. Great
care.
to be on this show. I played hooky from thatmetalstation.com for you guys.
I hope they don't find out.
Oh, they did. I told them I was going to be on this show.
Well, thank you so much, Mike. I really do appreciate it.
All right. Peace out, everyone.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Later.